How do I know my water tastes like piss? Because I like it like that. Anyway, I have more important news. One, our last episode got so many listens that the producer said, you got to do another one.
Are you
So we're going to
serious?
get like 10 listens?
Yeah. Our record, 10 and a half. Some person bailed halfway through the listen, but they got pretty far. He cut out my whole song. That's probably
good.
Wow, shocker. Wow, unbelievable.
Thank God.
Whoa, where'd you get that shirt? They gave you shirts there?
Oh, yeah. I was part of the merch group. So, like, one of the days I handed out free merch, and so they gave me a shirt. I got this framed, like, I got this, like, poster that I'll hang up in my apartment when I get back. But, like, it has it's a spray painted Ossoff and Warnock poster. Like,
Bullshit.
It says vote. I know you missed out, man.
All I got was
This is when the big money was coming through.
All I got was yelled at to leave.
No, I was part of the.
I fought the real fight. You faced no adversity. In fact, you got merchandise. Like, it's a fun game. Oh, let's give all the volunteers some merch, because why not? Like, let's just give it out. Well, I'm in there holding signs, wearing an Atlanta hat to fit in. Where's my merch?
They handed out free merch literally every single day for 4 hours a day.
All I wanted was a merch. You know what? I don't care about merch. I don't care about anything. Wait, you know what's so weird is I was literally like, oh, so we did it right before the election, and I was like, oh wow, they're gonna, like, you know, it's exciting, and then, you know, they got through the votes pretty quickly. Like, it didn't take that long. It wasn't that chaotic, and I was like, okay, good, and then it was like, oh, Donald Trump's gonna say fraud on. I mean, he didn't really care about the fraud on the Georgia election, really. I don't know, like, it was already a fraud from the generals still, so it didn't really matter. But the first thing that was so bizarre was like Mitch McConnell's incorrect political calculation was pretty wild, because like, which I knew was going to be stupid. I really wanted it to be proven out, and it was, and I was happy that, like, essentially the idea that getting Donald Trump to, like, reinforce your crappy candidates would somehow benefit you and get them to win was a really bizarre political calculation. I was thinking, like, you know what? Maybe I don't know what's going on. Like, maybe I don't know the Republican strategy. Maybe, like, oh, he's going to stir up the base. Like, there's some mysterious base that wasn't going to come out. But now that they see Trump, like, Loeffler and Perdue supporting Trump, they're totally going to come out now. And they weren't going to come out before. And now I'm just like, no, that was dumb. That wasn't a thing. I was right. That wasn't. It only hurt them or did nothing, and that was, like, a complete waste of time. And in fact, it just, like, made this weird insurrection that happened afterwards even more, like, blatant and apparent. But it's so shitty that Mitch McConnell goes in there. It's like, oh, I won't say anything bad about Donald Trump, and nobody's going to call him out because, like, the political benefit of him getting involved in Georgia is so crucial that, like, you know, basically not curtailing the insurrection that was to come was not worth it to have the benefit of Donald Trump on stage with two shitty candidates that lost anyway. What political calculations? That is so dumb. That's the worst political. Like, who are his advisors? They should have been like, you know what? We got to get out now. This is done. The ship sunk. I know we dumped a lot of money in, but you know what? Donald Trump doesn't affect this anyway. If we're going to lose, we're going to lose. If we're going to win, we're going to win. There's no Donald Trump involvement in that vote. So, like, yeah, we don't really need to. I guess, like, he could have been like, Donald Trump lost. I guess if he was like, Donald Trump lost, I guess he needed to keep doing it because he would have lost more people if he didn't support Donald Trump. But I would have been like, you know what? You don't need to go and, like, campaign rally there. And, like, maybe, like, start saying, like, you know, the general's done, but we can save the Republican Party by doing this. Like, but it was just so fake. It was like, no, let's keep up the general election fraud, you know, conspiracy going, and let's just keep it going until the bitter end because we'll win Georgia. And I was like, now you lost Georgia. And then what happened on whatever Wednesday was, like, the end of the end. So that was fucking wild. And I was like, wow, we're done. I was so happy. I was like, oh yeah, Warnock won, like, pretty quickly. They declared that. Then Ossoff won, but I was watching the New York Times, you know, tracker, and when they do all the calculations, it was all right, this is, like, kind of done already. Like, it was already done. There was enough people that showed up in Fulton County, all me. So I did it. I won the election. Right?
Right. That's right.
Based on the calculations, I won. Atlanta makes up like 10% of the entire population, and I won. My
Very
turnout kept it so that basically maybe like, I don't know, an hour into counting, they were like, yeah, we already did the math and there's enough voters that are like still coming in that's all going to be Democrat. So that's the end of that. So I did it. James,
You did do it.
a good job. Some praise for me. What do you have to say? My friend's a real hero.
Clap?
Yeah, I would like a clap. I'll just say what I want you to say, and we can pretend you said it.
Good job.
Dan, you're the best. That was great. You're a hero. Della, you did okay, but you look like you got caught up in the merch table a little long instead of handing out the flyers with me. I got some angry people in Atlanta to really come out. They were pissed off, and they turned their heads, and they said, you know what? Dan was right. I got to vote for these two.
That's right.
It was pretty awesome. Because I was like, wow, you know what? Like, I supported Pennsylvania. Not that I was so great at, like, picking my states, but, you know, like, supported Arizona, supported Pennsylvania, supported these Georgia. I was like, man, this voting shit, like, can actually get – like, can do something. It's not all lost, you know? It's not all for naught. We changed something. I mean, we changed who's in there. Now they have to change something. But I'm saying we took the first step. We did the first thing. Like, we did it. So, like, that's good. But then, like, you know, the inevitable happened, which I was, like, I wasn't surprised. I guess the only thing I was surprised about, not that the Trump rally happened. I guess they kind of already knew it was kind of happening. It was like all over everything. And like everybody knew about it. Like it was like a thing. Like, if you paid any attention on the internet, which I'm sure the government does, like government security probably has some idea of what's happening out there. I hope so. It makes me really concerned for like the entire security of the government. But I don't, beyond that, I'm just thinking like the idea that you know, they knew about this, right? And they like didn't take any like precautions, I guess, is like the most baffling is like the hidden agenda of weird racism that came out of the insurrection was so like blatant and bizarre that it was like, oh God, like I know that we're gonna say, you know, remember how last episode, like a couple days ago, I was like, oh, it's all like they always say it's coincidence, right? Whenever there's voter suppression, it's always a coincidence. It's always like coincidence that this is like the main thing. Whenever there's a racist thing happening, it's just coincidence. Like it's not planned. It's not on purpose. It's always a coincidence. And then you're like, what do you think is going to be the main excuse for why the Capitol Police suddenly like couldn't maintain this entire riot and take over the Capitol building? And you're like, okay, as a white person, coincidence. Republican Party, it's just a coincidence, right, James? Like, what's the reason? Well, you know, the police, they just, like, they didn't know it was going to be so crazy. And, like, you know, it's like, why were the police letting people in through the gates? Oh, it's just coincidence. It's just all coincidence. And I'm like, it's not coincidence again. It's just all fucking racist bullshit because those white-ass Trump supporters were basically enabled to do whatever the fuck they wanted. And, like, even Trump didn't call in the National Guard. He had to get clearance. Pence was, like, gave clearance to get them in because Trump still wanted whatever was happening to continue. And I'm just like, these people are the fucking worst. And the worst thing that happened, I think everybody probably knew. I mean, it's not like the news was like, oh, we're not going to cover it correctly. But it was just like, if it was a Black Lives Matter protest, and this isn't this isn't like a real like hot take. This is just, if it was a Black Lives Matter protest, they would have had thousands of people armed with like full military grade, you know, like giant assault rifle. Like it would have been wild. Like there's no way they're getting in there. They're not even getting within like 100 yards of that area. The barricades are so far over. It's wild. And yet, like, in this one, it's like the barricades are right in front of the steps. There's, like, one guy with, like, a baton there. Like, he's like, he let them in.
Just open the gate for them and, like, wave them onto the steps. Come on, guys.
He's like, Pelosi's over there.
Oh, yeah, if you want Pelosi's room, it's the one on the right. And you're like, okay, you're right. This is, like, the Capitol Police. Like, all of Congress in the building. But, like, and Pence is in the building. Like, oh no, dude, we don't care. I'm like, this is a bad.
Like the Black Lives Matter slogans and
yeah,
like,
oh yeah.
Like, say her name for the lady who was shot, who was like storming the Capitol, and
yeah,
you know, I mean,
the false equivalency
and
is
they were
wild.
out there saying, "I can't breathe."
Oh yeah,
they were chanting, "I can't breathe." And I was like, Wow, this is
It's the false
really
equivalency
stupid.
was on full apparel. You go like, oh well, the Black Lives Matter movement and this are the same thing, and you're like, what are you talking about? They were the Black Lives Matter movement was like protesting racial injustice by like just walking like with signs down the street.
Right.
They didn't go and raid the Capitol building. And they didn't let them either, even if they wanted to. And you're just like, okay, they were all
They
armed
didn't even
too.
let them stand in the street in front of the White House.
Right.
Yeah.
They cleared them out too.
There was like a garden, like by a church, like nearby. That was cleared, like not within
No.
like a mile.
Better get my Bible photo.
Right.
The Bible photo. You're just like, you can't explain it with coincidence anymore. You can't explain it with like. You just got to be like, okay, I get it. Like they were white. They were Trump supporters. Trump always is talking about law and order, and the police all voted Republican Trump because they're in on this racist game of like chicken. And it's like, okay, we get it. Like it's all just enabled. They just enable it, and you're like, okay, like this is so. So when we say defund the police, which was like our first ever recorded episode of this podcast, was a whole thing about defunding the police. And I said, oh well, we can't use that because we have to win elections. And I'm like, okay, we can't use that because they have to win elections, so I don't think they should be using that term. But the underlying message is 100% clear. It's so proven by the final day. It's like full circle. For me, it was full circle. I'm like, we started with defund the police on here, and we get to see the police literally just don't do their job because they're not black people that they're stopping. And you're just like, okay, I get it. It's full circle. Like our entire podcast ran along with the end of the Trump presidency, full circle. And you're just like, oh my God, that was so blatant and dumb. And it was so blatant. The fact that they just walk in, go room to room, they all have like, they have like guns and Molotov cocktails and pipe bombs. And you're like, oh yeah, like that's so like whatever. Like the police are like, let me get a selfie, like snap. Right. And you're like, oh right, like they did this with the black, and they're like tossing each other. Like the protesters are pushing them, and they're just like, yeah, like, oh come on, stop it, dude. Like, what are you guys doing? Stop. And he's like, fuck you, loser. He's like, what are you going to do? And you're like, what interaction is this with police? When have you ever seen a black person push a police officer and be like, yo, stop it? And the guy be like, come on, God. Yeah, and live to tell about it. Oh, yeah, like, and then it's like 26 arrests the next day. You're like, 26, there were thousands of people there. 26? Did you even arrest the people that broke in? 26, I feel like, is like maybe the people sitting in the office.
Right. I don't even know. I mean, I couldn't believe those numbers I heard. I mean, they said the Capitol Police themselves arrested no one. The DC police arrested 13 on the day of, and the rest right after curfew. And I'm like thinking this, man. I'm like, so the Capitol Police literally, I'm sure they probably only had like 400 of them. Did zero the entire time, right?
Well, it's
they were
tough.
just like, oh, we're overwhelmed.
We're overwhelmed. But then they're like assisting them out. Like, okay, guys, time to leave.
Helping this one woman down the stairs.
All right, come on. You had enough fun today, guys. Like, time to head out. You know the rules. We're wrapping this thing up. You did your little destroy. You stole a bunch of stuff. You endangered all the Congress people. Like, whatever. It's time to head on out. And you're just like, oh, and then all the Republicans out there, oh my God, like this, I condone it in the harshest terms. I can't, it's all Trump's fault. And I always said it wasn't a fraud.
Right. No, that was the funniest part was when they reconvened. Right. And you had Loeffler, who was staunchly, even remember the day before, the 2 days before, she said, I'm going to step up and say that I call this election a fraud.
To people in the
she's pointing right? And Trump was like, oh yeah. And then after the whole thing, she literally goes up and says, I cannot in good faith conscience object to this election results.
In good faith,
like,
Loeffler.
okay.
Yeah.
Right.
In good faith, I can't condone anything I've condoned for the past year. Well, now you can't. Yeah, once you're a loser, you can't condone anything. I'm like, my entire conscience came back. I can't believe I did it all for the win, and I didn't even win. Now I got to go back to being moral. Like, you're like, shut the fuck up. Even Mitch McConnell, that goober, he's like, it's time for us to come together. And it's like, dude, you've been holding this insanity going on because you wanted to get political points in Georgia you lost. You're also the worst piece of crap. You're not as bad as Ted Cruz, but you're not great.
You're there.
You're like pretty bad. You're like maybe one step above because you didn't continue after the insurrection.
Right.
Like that's
10 years. 10 years of that man. Yeah. I mean, for 10 years he's been like this, and it's like hilarious.
Draw the line.
Yeah, he draws the line. draws a line at potential civil war. That's kind of where it stops.
You got to draw the line somewhere. You got to draw the line somewhere.
Oh, man.
I condemn in the harshest terms all violence matters. All violence. It's not the Black Lives Matter. I condemn them too. And you're like, come on, man. Like, it's not even relevant. Well, I condemn it. Just so you know, I'm not just condemning Trump supporters. Both sides had a part in this one. And you're like, okay, right, both sides. So both sides, this whole insurrection with the Capitol building was a both sides issue, right? Well, there were bad people on the both sides. They didn't know what was going on. You just get swept up in the fun, in the frenzy. And you're like, and Hawley up there and Cruz, it's all a fraud, and we got to take back the country. Shut the fuck up. Shut up. And Lindsey Graham goes up there and goes, I asked for one piece of evidence that they've claimed, and I didn't get any. So I think the election was fair. But you were just calling the Georgia, Secretary of State, asking him to fine for to get votes. I don't know what the hell he was doing. Are you sure nothing was wrong there? Are you sure you can't do anything? It's like, what were you doing that for then? If you were so gung ho about it all being fair, what were you doing? Why were you bothering people? I mean, it's so phony and fake. But I think that the most appalling was if you don't believe in defund the police, then you're an idiot. Because the police aren't okay. They're not good at their job, and then maybe we should find an alternative. It's like, everybody else that's not good at their job suddenly gets fired, but this police, they literally let people in to storm the Capitol. I feel like the fucking Capitol building with all the Congress people there in the Capitol building, and you did a bad job at safe security. People you have Congressmen and women hiding behind tables and chairs, locking themselves in the office with somebody one guy there. I'm like, this is you're either the worst, so you really do need to go away. We need to think of a new armed security personnel group that can take it over. You know how we're always talking about privatizing everything, right? We want to privatize healthcare. We want to privatize. We want to.
Start there. No, don't privatize. That's awful.
No, I'm saying
you end up with Blackwater. You don't do that.
I'm saying you want to privatize. You want to privatize all these different things, right? But I'm just saying, you have this public police force, right? Publicly funded, meaning our money going to the police force that was originally invented basically to bring back escaped slaves, right? We've only gotten whiter and stranger since then, right? It's not like they were we reformed the police. So I'm regardless of privatize or not, it's you have to rethink it. You have to redo the whole thing. And I'm I don't know if I want more tax dollars going to the police that don't even do anything. Who's that money going to? And who's paying to fix the fucking Capitol building? Who's paying for any of this shit?
Bro.
No, I know we are. We're always paying for shit.
You know what's crazy is I didn't know the windows weren't bulletproof. I can't believe you tell me that people could just take shields and break the windows everywhere throughout. Because I went to the Capitol building 7 years ago for on a work trip. And to get in, I don't know if y'all have been before. The security is so tight. I couldn't bring a metal pin, a writing pin, into the building. All right. Yeah. So I'm thinking to myself, how these people are able to break through. And I had to go through 2 metal detector sets to get through. And I'm thinking these folks are able to just break in the side, walk right in. But the funny thing was they were so orderly, right? Because they remember at one point the police officer was like, no, walk through these velvet ropes, right? To make sure that you don't step near these statues. But no, insurrectionists, just walk through these ropes. It's okay.
Yeah.
And so I'm just
just stay to the right because we have more people coming in on the left and you guys are getting all crowded and somebody's going to get hurt. So if you're going to ransack this area, just do it orderly, guys. Pelosi's office is that way. You're going to the wrong office.
Right.
You guys don't listen when I tell you instructions. That's your problem.
They have zip ties coming through, no problem. They brought the what is that thing called? This is a G that you can put a noose on it outside.
The guillotine?
No, not the guillotine.
The gallows?
Gallows, thank you. They had that outside.
Set up.
I guarantee you they were going to go try to find one of these Congress people, tie them up, and hang them off that thing. So
a classic lynching in the name of Trump. I condemn in the strongest terms any lynchings that were about to be held on the Capitol building. Mitch McConnell, mark my words.
Unbelievable. And the thing is, none of these people still, right? None of the main leaders are going to ever blame Trump, right? McConnell hasn't blamed Trump. No one's blamed him except the people who were who
Already,
already have a secure election, right? They're not going to get reelected for like 19 more years.
Yeah.
So they don't care. They'll say whatever, right? That's why
Yeah.
Mitt Romney keeps talking.
Yeah.
So those folks will talk, but the other ones, Cruz, none of them have blamed anyone but the media, right?
Yeah.
And now Twitter for banning these people.
And maybe Antifa.
Yeah, Antifa, right? Which the FBI, of course, had to come out and say, like, this group, which really doesn't really exist. Yes, they did nothing. You know.
Yeah, like, just
man.
so you know, I know there's another conspiracy going around that none of these people were Trump supporters. They were just Antifa disguised as Trump supporters. Right. Like, they just did such a good job disguising themselves that all of you are, like, so stupid. Like, why would Trump supporters wear, like, white supremacist apparel? Like, that's clearly Antifa disguises. I mean, like, you could go forever, I guess. Like, this is Fox News bread and butter. You could just change everything to be, like, whatever you want. Like, there you go. Okay, it's Antifa. We could all play the game. It's just, like, so dumb. It's like so – it's been so, like fed by, like, the Republican Party, the Fox News, the president himself, and all the president inside enablers, like, just everybody. And then, Facebook with this stupid bullshit. They don't never now it's time to take a stand. The president went too far. Okay, we get it. What did it have to go to this? Like, if it wasn't even this, like, nothing else was too far. And Susan Collins, wasn't she the one where it was like, he learned his lesson after
He learned his lesson,
impeachment?
that's right.
That's why you didn't vote for impeachment, because you thought he would learn his lesson, right? And they reelected her.
Yeah, by a large margin.
So I was thinking about this. I was like, if this happened before the election.
Oh, boy, this would have been a fucking landslide.
No, if it would have been before the election, you would have still had 75 million people vote for Trump.
Well, that I agree.
Okay, 74.5, because some people would have gained a conscience and been like, no way. And they would have been like, it's just like, it's just so silly, because you're just like, Trump does this, and people were voting. If you're rich, you voted for a tax cut, I guess, that you got from Donald Trump. You're like, I want more tax cuts. Okay, so you're willing to overlook everything Donald Trump did, this is just another, like, notch on things doing. Sure, it incited a violent riot to the Capitol building, but, like, all the other things were in the same vein. They just didn't get executed because the police, I guess, didn't enable it to this extent where it just happened. But, like, imagine they had done like DC police, and there was, like, a standoff in the front, and you had, like, the National Guard, and nobody got through. You would have said the same, like, there would have been the same nonsense as always. It would have been like, oh, Donald, like, they would have just came up with a bunch of excuses. Nobody would have condemned him, and that would have been the end of it. It just only happened that there was a bunch of other factors that allowed it to get so chaotic that now it's like it crossed the threshold. But the same factors that existed before were the same factors that existed after. There's no threshold being crossed. The outcome is the threshold, but that's not how things work. You don't just go, well, if they didn't get all the way through the Capitol building and really endanger a lot of people's lives, then it wasn't that bad. It's just Trump being Trump. He just talks a lot, and we can't really control that. And he'll learn his lesson. And it's probably Antifa anyway, and it's all the media that's getting you all riled up. Actually, none of this happened. It's the media lying to you with fake images of other things, and that's why it's like you could just do it forever. So I'm not buying. I don't think anybody would have voted differently. Because it got all the way to the Capitol, some people might have been a little scared, and like the Congress men and women got scared.
Right,
so they were the ones.
They would have been.
Oh, my life is in danger.
That's what I'm saying.
Would have been,
that would have changed. That would have changed
because they were scared of their own lives.
Exactly.
Yeah,
not the president's election. I think that would have been okay, but I think the elections of all the Congress people, that I think would have been a Democratic landslide.
Yeah,
if that had happened before the election because of their support for Trump.
Yeah, exactly. I think the president's election would have been fine. I also think, like, you were already willing to overlook so much. To be honest, just him inciting a riot is like the same thing as him inciting every other racist and, like, violent trope that he could find throughout his entire presidency. So I don't think anybody would have gained the moral ground before the election. You're voting Republican. You're voting for your tax cut, or if you're like poor white person, you're voting because you've been getting Fox News brainwashed for like fucking 4 years. No way you're going to vote again, however they tell you to vote. Because, like, even now, after this insurrection, it's like, okay, it was Antifa. Let's get Matt Gaetz up there. Let's get Hawley up there. Let's get more wackadoos out there. They're just going to keep on saying nonsense. Let's get Eric Trump Jr. Let's get Donald Trump up there. Laura Ingraham will say that she saw, a Black Lives Matter guy like whispering into a microphone in the back. Like, it's all bullshit. So I'm saying like, no group of people would have been differently influenced with any new knowledge before or after this event. So for people to go, the only thing that I think you can take out of this that was really appalling, that was like almost even for me, because I expect all like the inevitable thing of like, okay, Trump, if you had told me Trump incites a riot and it goes all the way to the Capitol building and they get there, I go like, yeah, I mean, that makes sense. Like, I assume he's been doing this. I didn't know that they were already working on the logistics on Parler and whatever other bullshit they're using, Facebook and other nonsense. But regardless, I don't pay attention to that, so I wouldn't know what's going on in Parler. But regardless, even if you told me you got past that, the idea that you would have said they would have gotten through to the Capitol building and started like breaking shit, and like a police officer would have gotten murdered, and some 5 people that were also there would have gotten killed. It would have been like, no, I don't think that would have. Like, I don't think they would have taken over the Capitol building. Like, shut the hell up. Like, you're just making shit up. Like, they have security up the yin-yang there. Like, this is post 9/11. This isn't fucking 2099. Like, this is fucking 2021 now. And, like, this shit is done. It's placed on lockdown. So I'm like, but the fact that they got through that makes you think, like, oh, there's a whole nother level to this. That is, like, these cops are either fucking racist as fucking hell or dumb as fucking hell. Either or, you need a new security force that's not these idiots, because these morons are like, oh, Trump supporter, he's my friend. Like, let's take a picture with me. You walk right in. Like, what the fuck is going on? Like, what if that was one of the people that was a personal security for one of the congressmen or woman and was like, yeah, right over here. Like, let's get him. What the fuck? How are they vetting these idiots? Like, these are the people in charge of protecting people? God, I would be like, if I was Joe Biden, I'd be sweating my boots. I'd be like, holy fuck, like, this group of numbnuts is like bad. This is bad. This is like, I feel like you would have as much security for this as you would for like a State of the Union, right? Like, how many more people in government do you need together to have better security than this event? Like, how many more government officials do you need in one place to have more security? What warrants more security than this? Name me an event. You need Joe Biden and everybody in the government in one spot. That's the only way you get more security than this event. So I'm thinking like it's probably a mix of incompetency and like just racism, and it's got to be. It's those two things, because like the police that were like helping these people were like probably racist, Trump supporting idiots, and then the other group is like, wow, we got overwhelmed. What the fuck could we do? Because they didn't send in the National Guard, and they didn't send in like probably the SWAT teams and other people. This is fucking DC. Why are we acting like they have no people around to like come in and help? It's like, what? Oh, we couldn't get anyone. This isn't in some rural town in Bumblefuck. This is in D.C. I don't buy it. This is so. If you want a conspiracy theory, well, they love conspiracy theories. What about the conspiracy theory that this was like some kind of weird inside like job of like a bunch of people that were all working together? Like, I don't know, the police and the supporters. Like, who's going to discredit that? That's a good one to explore, because that seems more likely than the Antifa conspiracy theory or any other dumb conspiracy, your QAnon conspiracy theory. What's more likely? Everyone in government that's a Democrat is a pedophile and running a pedophile ring, or that the people were able to walk into the state capitol building without like getting shot or arrested in the middle of a joint session where they were voting on the electoral counts for all the states. Which one's more likely of a conspiracy if we're playing conspiracy theory games? Like, this is so dumb. But again, yeah, it's all going through a lens of Fox News, and the people that already know that Trump's an asshole and that this is bad already know it. And to be honest, if McConnell needed Trump still, he'd still be saying, well, it wasn't that bad or whatever. Like, there's still some political gains. I mean, they lost the Senate. They lost the presidency. They didn't regain the House. So it's like there's nothing left to gain from like holding out. But like if there was, you got to bet Mitch McConnell would keep on going. Lindsey Graham would keep on going. Like, I'm surprised Ted Cruz is still going. Well, I condemn violence. All right, well, let's put out some more generic statements that are meaningless then. I condemn it too. I condemn any violence. Okay.
And after he was so insulted by Trump too, like wasn't Trump like talking? He was talking like crap about his wife and
during the
like
whole
during the primary.
What like
he also called him a pathological liar, narcissist. Like, look at the things Ted Cruz said. It's all crazy shit about like Donald Trump, how he's the worst piece of shit imaginable. And it's like, I think that we all got to stand with Donald Trump because I guess Cruz has to do the political calculation too. And he's like still on it, right? If there's still the only people that are still on the train or something with something to gain still. And Ted Cruz is a good example. He's definitely something to gain. Like he's in fucking Texas. He needs those lunatics.
A viable argument in Texas.
Yeah, I don't know.
Believe.
So I mean, there's people who believe, like I said last time, people will vote no matter who the Republican is. It could be, it literally could be a guy in a Klan costume, and they're like, you know what? He's probably going to get half the vote, right? And, and it's just a question of how big the half is going to be. So it's just, it doesn't matter.
As I was saying earlier, I was like, that's why I was like, oh, well, Donald Trump is such a good winner. Like, he's such a good marketer of himself. He's such a good, like, you can't say that at least. You can't say that he doesn't win. Like, you could say he might be a bad. I'm like, no, you can't say that.
You can't say that he doesn't win.
Well, now, you know what I'm saying? Now you can, but
before that even, he bankrupt his company.
No, but people don't think about that.
People don't care.
That's not relevant. I'm talking about real winning, general election wins, 2016 wins. I'm talking 2016 election. He's a big winner. And I think that to be a winner, when we were talking, I was like, Trump just being racist and like getting at the worst parts of society and being like drudging them up and inciting them doesn't make him a smart guy. It doesn't make him a good marketer. It doesn't make him anything. It just makes the people out there look stupider and makes America dumber. So yes, if you get the dumbest people in the country and you bombard them with the stupidest crap 24/7 on Fox News, and you are the one that instigates all of it, then yeah, you could win because a lot of the country, like you said, could put on you could put on the KKK Klan thing and they'd be like, well, you know, he's a Republican, so he's going to get us a nice tax cut. I mean, I don't like that he's in the KKK still because I figure like that's really not good. But you know what? We all have to take. He's anti-abortion, so that's good for me. You know, I'm thinking if I'm a one-issue voter, there's some good things in there for me. You know, like I don't really care about the KKK thing, and so you're like, okay, so then Trump's not doing anything really. He's not doing anything. He's only inciting some people that were like super susceptible and didn't vote before to come out. That's the group. The people that were voting Republican that vote all the time still voted Republican. There's 75 million people voted. I'm not sure they were all just crazy Trump lunatics. They were just people that were like, I always vote Republican. I don't care who the fucking candidate is, right? It's the old, it's David Duke. He's running again. Yeah. Like, good. It's Kelly Loeffler. It's fucking lunatic. They don't give a fuck. But then, you know, at some point, I just don't think I don't think these acts and these things affect anything. I think like they're not the ones you can't put any political consequence on any of this stuff. I don't think there is. It's already over. So the only political consequence on this is if the Democrats use this into the next 2 years of basically every time they say anything, you'd be like, Donald Trump assumes riot on Capitol. Like, this needs to be every ad, every day, and then you have every Republican senator and every Republican congressman that enabled him over there.
Yeah. This is the Benghazi for the Democrats, and I remember.
But a real one.
And more people died than in Benghazi. And I will tell you, remember what I said a few episodes ago about how the Democrats need to be ruthless. Remember I said this. And I said that the Democrats, the only way for you to get back, right, is you have to be ruthless. I don't care how you do it, figure it out. Well, finally, it took a damn near civil war, but they finally are becoming ruthless. So you saw articles of impeachment done in 24 hours, be presented probably Monday or Tuesday, right? They'll probably vote on Wednesday. Pelosi's not fucking around, right? She's the one who got the nuclear codes canceled from Trump. Like, she's doing everything she can to be vengeful. And I'm like, this is what I'm talking about. I don't want it. No longer do I want to see any more Mitch McConnell, any of the Republicans throwing
political moves,
political bullshit about the deficit, about the Benghazi, about any of the poor people, healthcare, like all this crap. Take it all away.
It's all lies. It's all stupid and irrelevant.
From here on forth, you use January 6th as your boogeyman to run through the Congress. And I don't care what they need to do, but this is finally the impetus that they needed to be as ruthless.
We have a January 6th. Yeah, we have a January 6th anniversary of the siege of the Capitol in 2021 in 2022.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a crazy time. And then we run through maybe a 6-month anniversary of the siege of the Capitol. The president's maybe we do it quarterly. I don't know. Yeah. Like every quarter we get a little couple ads, and we all remember the day when the Capitol was overrun by Trump supporters and the Republican Party. And it's not Trump supporters. You call it the Republican Party insurrection. Stop saying the Trump insurrection, because the enablers of Trump are the same thing. You can't enable someone to do it and then be like, well, he doesn't affiliate with us. It's the Republican Party insurrection on the Capitol building. Right? That's it. You have to get more aligned. Trump is nothing. He's nothing anymore. So there is no more Trump in terms of who you're running against. He's not your boogeyman. Let him go out there and say all of his crap. He doesn't even have a platform anymore. Maybe on Parler, but those people are voting for whoever he tells them to vote for anyway. But I think the other consequence, this is the end of the Republican Party, to the max. The Republican Party has got to be pretty kicked about this. I know they're going to come out of the ashes and do whatever they need to do to win, but Trump definitely takes away a portion of them. Not overwhelmingly, but they make it difficult for Republicans to win without Trump. If Trump takes it away actively, I'm saying you don't need Trump, but if Trump's actively working against you in a group of people, I'm just saying you run into an election, you have Democrat candidate, you have Republican candidate, and then you have whoever the fuck Trump is supporting. That's a split. That's a split of a good chunk. Even if the Democratic person only gets 30% or 40% of whatever group you're voting, I don't know that you get the other group to that one guy. It's going to be split every time.
Right.
So
that's a good thing. That's a great thing.
No, it's great. It's great. You should be supporting Trump. If the Democrats would say more, when I was saying the rally, I was like, more. Give me more. I want more Trump. I want him on every channel, every day, every time. I want him out there going I want people to go oh no, Republican Party is not a Republican Party. It's just Trump. I see him every day. Every day out there, associate anybody. You know how they associate everybody with AOC and everybody with Bernie Sanders? Associate every goddamn person with Donald Trump. It's perfect. The Republican Party will never get back. They'll never get back. Every candidate will go, oh, you mean Donald Trump? Oh, yeah. Did you ever vote for Donald Trump or anything Donald Trump supported? You are Donald Trump. I'm running against Donald Trump every election for the next 50 years. I'm running against Donald Trump. Everybody, every time. There should be no difference between Donald Trump, and you get words, and every ad is just Donald Trump and the person together kissing. Right. Every ad.
Yeah. And then you have the insurrection on the next frame, right?
Yeah, this guy, exactly. This guy wants another one of these because he loves Donald Trump, and it's him and Donald Trump, and their face melds together, and then in the background, the Capitol building is up in flames.
That's right.
People, the congressmen and women hovering under the bench, and the people going then you have the Camp Auschwitz shirts, and then you have all the good stuff. You just need all of it, and you just go, this is the ad. Because you know what? It's not even what's wild is not even as dubious as the other way, right? It's not even like Benghazi, right? If they were to capitalize on Benghazi, which is just another conspiracy theory, right? They capitalize on that, and that's not real. This is real. Sure, you're bringing it to the forefront all the time, which is inconvenient for Republicans, but it's not real.
I mean, Giuliani brought up 9/11 every day for a decade. So you know what? If he can do that and get away with it, then you know what? This is the Republicans don't even bring up COVID, right? 4,000 people now a day are dying from this, and they don't care. Yeah. Nothing. They don't care.
Trump cares, I think, very deeply.
He
when
cares
he's
so
in
much.
between the golf rounds, I hear sometimes he sneezes and is reminded of his COVID days.
Right.
If he ever scratches, he goes, "Damn COVID." If he ever mulligans, it's like, "You motherfucker, COVID's back."
It's unbelievable, and I think what's going to happen is, and this is kind of there's light at the end of this tunnel for the Democrats, because once the vaccine rollout is probably full scale sometime next year, they're going to be able to say, look, this is the final tally, right? Because midterms are next year, right? So this is the final tally. You have maybe, let's probably get close to 600,000, I assume, people died from this, maybe close to 40 million people infected. You're going to tell me you want these people to not be held accountable for this entire destruction of this virus. And they, like 149 of them, supported an insurrection on the Capitol, right? Like, this is, you support all of this. Right? These are the people you want to
be an easy vote, a very simple message. I might not even go with COVID. I don't even know if people care about that. I might just go with people seem to be very concerned about the insurrection, almost to the point where it's affecting Republicans. So COVID still, for some reason, didn't affect Republican voters or Republican lobbyists. They still didn't care. Just Trump. So I'm saying, like, I would just be like, no more COVID. COVID's done. Biden should say Biden vaccine. Biden got the vaccine. Look, I vaccinated all these people. I'm a hero. He could take credit for the victory of COVID, but I would drop it like a dead egg. COVID is done. Right. They already brainwashed them into not caring about it anymore, but they are forced to care about this insurrection on the Capitol. I don't think, because both sides have to care about it, because it's actually an assault on like the government and democracy, as opposed to COVID, which just killed poor black and brown
mostly
people.
Poor black and brown, exactly.
Exactly. So that's not the Republican base. I don't really need to care about it. But I do think that basically, your ads for 2022 are whoever it is. This is Donald Trump. This is Donald Trump's party. You're voting for Donald Trump, the guy that led an insurrection on the Capitol. That's it. That's the only political consequence from this whole thing, because nothing else, I tell you, is going to change for the Republican Party related to this insanity. It's just nothing. The people that were already like reprimanding Donald Trump and saying that he was shitty are still doing it. They don't care. The people that didn't may have changed for 1 second, but nobody believes them. Like Lindsey Graham is so anti-Trump now. Like, shut the hell up. You were the biggest enabler in the world. Oh, Bill Barr is all, I can't believe this. Shut the fuck up.
I'm like, get the hell out of here.
Shut the fuck up. You're all so bad. Oh, Betsy DeVos and Elaine Chao, whatever her name is, the same thing.
Yeah, I'm so noble. Now this Charlottesville was nothing. Like COVID's nothing. Putting people in cages and like making sure they die in there, nothing. Like but now it took this to be their last straw. Just unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Yeah. This is the end. This is the end. It's like, and now you're gonna leave the government. Oh, I gotta stand on my laurels. I gotta get out of here. I can't support a government that would do that. I can't support a president that would do this. I'm not gonna sit in the cabinet anymore. I don't believe in it. Okay, right. Like 2 weeks before he leaves, you don't believe in it anymore. You people are the war. People believe this shit. People believe like, yep, this is a good person. Betsy DeVos is a good person. She just got caught up in Donald Trump, and she doesn't believe in any of that stuff. And I'm like, you people, this is only 2 weeks till he leaves. It's the easiest. It's like it's the least heroic move you could ever do, ever. It's the least heroic thing you could ever do, is leave right before everything is over anyway. Well, I guess more heroic would be to stay.
Right, and that's exactly right. So more heroic is to stay, so that way Donald Trump, I think that's what, I forget who was saying, was it Mark Meadows maybe, was saying why he hadn't left, was because they're afraid that Trump might put someone more evil, right, or worse in that position, right? Yeah. Because if you think about it, think about this. During that whole thing, the acting defense secretary, the Homeland Security guy, none of these people did anything. Yeah, people were like, "Where the hell are these people?" And they had nothing to say. Only if it wasn't for Pelosi calling the Maryland governor and the Virginia governors to bring their National Guard, and then Pence calling in for the DC National Guard. If it wasn't for those two people, that thing would have gone on for a lot longer, right? Yeah. And so it's just like, because the DC mayor has no control over the National Guard, so it's like, it took those people to actually get up and say something. No one on his cabinet was going to do anything. They're just like, well,
I heard Trump liked it.
Of course.
It's like giggling.
Yeah, of course. He's like, oh, yes, this is exactly what I've been trying to get for 4 years, right?
Someone to finally stick up for me, that weak, spineless Pence. I hope they lynch him.
Right. And I read the story about the whole thing. And like after he gave that speech that let's just march down the Capitol, to the Capitol, he actually hopped in a limo that went the opposite direction.
I read that too. It was like, I didn't see the limo, but I was like, oh, I'll be there marching right with you. Right, you will. Let's all go together. I'll hold your hand. He's like, where'd he go? Where'd he go? He's not with us anymore.
Mr. Trial by Combat, Giuliani also disappeared in the other direction.
Oh yeah, it's when the going gets tough, the tough gets going. Let's get
That's
the
right.
fuck out of here, guys. We gotta get out of this town. This thing's turning into a mess. I'm not getting involved with those fucking freaks.
Oh,
I just
man.
tell them to do shit. I don't actually like them. I don't want to be around them. They're horrible. They're gonna get me in trouble. Oh god, yeah. It's really the lack of like I don't care about these people at all. Donald Trump just saying like I don't care about what happens to these people.
Yeah.
Well, also I know nothing. I guess is gonna happen to them. So it's actually like kind of go for it.
That's
Go
right.
have
They don't
fun.
care.
What about
They
the 10 years for desecrating
Federal property?
federal property?
Like, I'll tell you this. Thank God that Trump didn't win this election, because those people would have been pardoned instantly.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So now, of course, Merrick Garland.
Oh, and it never would have happened though.
And I was, no. I think it still would have happened. They would have found a way to to take over the Democrats, because let's say Trump won the election, but they ended up 50-50 in the Senate. He would have definitely still gone scorched earth
right. Yeah,
on these folks. So I think that like this still would have happened. I just think they would all been instantly pardoned. Now Merrick Garland can go scorched earth on them and toss whatever they can, make up charges, make sure all of them end up in Guantanamo or something.
Yeah.
I don't know what happens, but just give them the treatment that the terrorists deserve.
Incarceration of like every terrorist. Right. I mean, what do you call them? I know they don't like to put labels because they're white people, but I mean,
they're terrorists.
Domestic terrorism, like I don't know. You take armed assault against the Capitol building. What are you?
You go in the same prison that they put the Oklahoma City bombers in, the Unabomber guy, like all these people. You throw them in the whatever Zacharias Moussaoui, the one who was like the 21st hijacker from the 9/11. Put all these people in the same prison. Let them have fun. Like this is exactly what they deserve. They don't deserve a 1-year prison sentence in like some like high-fiving prison. They deserve maximum security, like AK-47s on every step prison. That's what they deserve.
Yeah, I mean, if they were black, they would be sent there.
Oh, I don't think they would have survived. First
yeah, they'd be dead. If they survived, they'd be sent there.
Yes, they would be sent there in the middle of nowhere, Nebraska.
Or Montana, James. You could have had some new friends.
Right.
I would have. I hope they. I mean, there should be. I mean, they have to get. They need to get like 1,000 arrests, arrest warrants issued or something. I mean, this is so bizarre that like, right? If it was a Black Lives Matter protest, you would have had most of them shot and hopefully not killed, but you never know. And then the rest would have been federally charged. Bands would have been to their houses, picked them all up, and brought them all in, and that would have been the end of it. And you could have charged them all. Fox would have been going crazy, saying how great it is that all these black people are going to go to prison. And it would have been done, and that would have been it. It would have been like, yeah, let's get them. It would have been like the wild, wild west out there for the police. It would have been like, oh, we're full-fledged. Do whatever the fuck you want to these people. Good luck. And it would have been like a dream for the police. It would have been like, oh, I can't wait to go and like rough up some black people. This is going to be the best day of my life. Like we're back in the early 1900s, and this is like the KKK club is coming together. And you're just like, wow, like I know exactly what you people want. I know it because I see the opposite. I see what you do when they're not black, and then I see what you prepare for when they are black. So don't say what you would have done. Well, it's just a coincidence. It actually is. It wouldn't have happened. It's really the black people bring it upon themselves, and that's why they always get shot, not the police. They don't escalate it. It's the black people are escalating it. But here, you see the police de-escalate. So it's actually evidence that the police are very good at de-escalation if they're white.
Right. You know what's interesting about this whole thing at the end was that the government could have done two things. Homeland Security, right, could have done two things, which of course they're not going to. One is whenever they all went to the hotel afterwards to decompress. I don't know if you saw that video, right? They're all just chilling in the Grand Hyatt in DC, just chilling. Like, oh man, what a great day of terrorism, right? And they had no problem just letting them chill there. No one got arrested for that. And somehow they all got on planes back home. You're gonna tell me that you didn't think to just block them from getting on planes once people instantly verified them on Twitter, right? That all these people were arrested in their hometowns. How? How is that possible?
So expensive too. You could have blocked them and gotten them in jail right there. They have to go and find them later. Also, the idea the idea that like they're gonna be like, you know what, we actually need more funding for FBI surveillance to be able to identify these type of people, you know, like going forward. It's like you people are you get so much money
Right? What are
in
you
these
talking
budgets,
about?
like so much, like trillions of dollars over the years for some kind of defense, but like these people, you're like, just couldn't get to them, just couldn't
Right.
find them. You know, some domestic terrorism's a tricky subject. You got to be able to like see who the people are. You got to be able to get them on film. You got to be able to identify them. And all these people are very sophisticated. They wore very good shirt disguises. Their faces were very clear. They didn't wear masks.
No, I
It's
mean,
very hard to identify these type of people. You know, when they're
hilarious.
just showing everything, it's very hard.
Yeah, it's hilarious. I mean, the government, when I was an undergrad, the government was able to, within 2 business days, send a cease and desist letter to me when I was an undergrad to not download any more music illegally. It took them 2 days to find me. But they can't figure out who these people are without the help of Twitter. Are you kidding me? Right? Like, they were able to tell me to stop downloading Eminem's album, right? Or like something like, but no, have no problem. Or they have problems finding these domestic terrorists who are on every camera possible, even revealing their names out on social media. It's like unbelievable.
Yeah, it's unbelievably it's unbelievably believable. It's
Right.
like wild. I'm just like, that's the one thing where I'm like, there's just like this something. It's just so bad. That one thing is just that piece of it is the only piece that really irks me. The rest is very very like understandable based on all the things that have happened over the past 4 or 5 years. I'm like, okay, the rest I understand. This I really don't understand. Somebody's really got to explain like why the police are so bad. I don't get it. I don't get it, and I'm just like a normal nobody that is looking and being like, no, police can like guard the Capitol building.
Right.
And then you have to tell me no, they can't. And then I have to go like, no, they can. We give them a lot of money. They get a lot of people mobilized for any stupid shit. There's no way that would happen. And then you're telling me, no, it 100% can. Here's why. I'd be like, no, it just not happens. Like,
It's not happening.
Not happening. Like, you can't get in. You went there, and you can't bring in a freaking toothpick. And then it's like,
Right.
oh yeah, but like no, like you're telling me they're just gonna do it, and it's just gonna happen. I'll be like, you motherfuckers. You really are motherfuckers. Like, that's so fucking that's so fucked up.
I'm telling you, it is something else, and I don't wish like this to happen again to anybody, like, you know, obviously in the Congress, but I do wish that it opens a lot of people's eyes to understanding that there's a difference in the way people are treated. Like, a lot of people are just like, oh, well, those black people deserved, right? That's what a lot of people will say.
Yeah.
Or, you know, or they were putting themselves in that position to begin with. But now you see this, especially those Congress people who are pro guns and pro all this stuff. And the funny thing is, I was like, how come they're not out there introducing themselves to their friends? These are all their friends. These are Republicans.
Yeah.
You the ones who are storming. Them. Yeah, you represent all of them. They're here to see you come out there and say hi, right? But they went and hid under their desks. And I'm like, this is how the school shooting kids feel like whenever they have to practice these drills. This is how black people and people of color felt like all the time when the police are just anywhere near them, or when they're protesting, right? Like, you now understand this from the level of which others have been trying to tell you for well over 100 years. So hopefully, for those who are reasonable, it'll at least change their mind, right? The Cruzes and the Hawleys, like, those two are so far gone that they're going to probably have to get expelled or something. But everybody else, though, who has half a brain, can be like, okay, you know what? Let's be more conciliatory and let's actually do something about it, right? How do we prevent this from happening again? Because it's going to happen again so long as Trump is alive, first off. It's going to happen again. So we need to find a way to prevent this from happening at scale. So I think that's just what's the lesson learned from this. And then, of course, impeach this dude. They can find a way to impeach.
Impeach at least so he can never. There's a bunch of stuff that comes with impeaching a president. At least he can't ever run again. I mean, that's a thing. But you know what, Della? Don't impeach him. I want him to run again. 2000. You want to get savvy? You want to get politically savvy? Let him run again in 2024. Oh, I can't wait for him to destroy the Republican Party. Why are you trying to get rid of him? I guess impeach him because him being in charge now is actually a serious like security threat to the entire country. I do get that because he's a lunatic. But maybe impeach him or put a cease and desist on any activities that he can do. But I want him to run again. I want him to be relevant, to make a contrast in the Republican Party every day, that they have to reconcile with the fact that they supported him and he's stealing their voters and they let it happen. That needs to happen for the next 4 years. That needs to happen for the next 20 years until Trump's dead or he's a floating head in a jar that they kept him alive forever. But regardless, though, you need him to be there. But as a Democrat, I need him to be there because I need them to see how hypocritical and shitty they are for the rest of eternity until Trump is dead.
Well, here's the thing that this is what the chess move they want to play is if you put the impeachment vote to Congress, then the Republicans now have to say that, like, on, let's say the vote happens next week, they now have to say that if by not voting to impeach, that they're okay with what's going on.
Yeah.
And that is the chess move, right?
That's the chess
if you're able to get them to on camera and on record say that I'm not going to vote to impeach based on this, then what the hell is the point of impeachment, right? Yeah. If you're not going to if you're okay with this insurrection, then that's why they want to do this. It's not. Yeah. I mean, sure, they want to take away his codes and shit, but like that's the ultimate chess move because then you go on your commercials for eternity. And you say your congressman was okay with this.
Yeah, here it is. I vote not to impeach. And then you just show the burning Capitol again. Right. You just show the broken windows and the looters and smiling while the shivering congressmen and women. And you're like, yep, this was you. Here you go. Here's the video. That's good. It's good stuff.
Yeah, this person's anti-Blue Lives Matter, right? Because an officer died. Other officers got beaten.
Yeah,
right?
This officer they're not because of you.
Yeah, exactly, because of you and approving insurrection. So that's
maybe he'll learn his lesson. I think, you know what, we shouldn't go so hard because Susan Collins might say that he might learn his lesson again. The first one was really not the same scale, so he learned his second lesson, Della. You get a couple lessons you got to learn over the presidency. This is just another lesson learned. Let's chalk it down as lesson learned, right, everybody?
Right. White supremacy is okay. Don't worry.
Yeah. Let's just mark it down as lesson learned. Let's all calm down. Let's not get crazy. It's lesson learned, right? I condemn the violence. Trump understands now that he can't do that. He just can't. It's not good. Oh, God. He probably would have let it go on for days.
Absolutely.
He would have declared them the new congressmen and women, the rioters and their
rioters.
Oh my God!
We love you, right? We love you. That's what he said.
With the vote to impeach Trump, it's actually a much better political move than just getting them on record because Trump is seeing them like Trump still whatever relevancy he has forever is going to be shown. You could just show, instead of actually having to show the voters him voting and trying to make the attachment, just show Trump the vote every time they're trying to run. So he runs his lunatics, and then you have the clash of being like, me lunatic versus lunatic. Who's still going to be a Republican after all this? Like,
a lot of people, they love him.
Yeah, but but the Republican Party is not going to be Donald Trump anymore. It's going to be the Donald Trump Party. And then there'll be the pathetic sniveling Republicans that enabled him that are still trying to do something different. But I mean, you're going to be splitting up a lot of vote in a lot of elections.
It'll be interesting. It's unbelievable how the Republican Party has devolved from Mitt Romney, who I think is a decent man. Like I was like, he was a good political candidate. He said some dumbass things about black and brown people, but he's a good political candidate. Go from that to this, right? It's unbelievable. Yeah. Unbelievable.
To go from John McCain to this.
To this, yeah. I mean, it's unbelievable, the devolving of the party.
Even George Bush was a dumbass, but he wasn't like an inhuman monster.
Yeah, he was a good human being. I mean, he was misguided, obviously, with the Iraq War and letting people take advantage of him, but he was a good person. And that's the thing. It's like you go from it's like full circle, literally going from George Wallace all the way back to George Wallace. Yeah. Right? It took 60 years, but here we are. We're back. So it's just unbelievable how that's just what happened.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It's like we're back to full circle. I was back to full circle from defund the police. It's like you get full circle. You're like, oh my God, everything is just like repeating itself. But it's only repeating itself because people are like getting shittier. It's not because it's not repeating itself because like good things are happening. Like, oh, we're repeating ourselves. Like we're not going backwards. Like, well, we're going completely backwards. We're just gonna keep repeating the same junk, but. Okay, now we have a chance to like change a couple things. And remember, I think now is the key is to remember that this could happen, that you have to be more political savvy if you're the Democratic Party, that the risk of not being politically savvy and losing is Donald Trump because they're going to be more politically savvy and bad faith politically savvy. you're good faith politically savvy. The Democrats are good faith politically savvy because when they get in power, they don't cause insurrections. The Republican Party is bad faith politically savvy. So they're like all used to maintain power and to do basically nothing except for get tax cuts.
That's right.
And fuck over everybody else and trick people. So it's like that political savvy is used to the detriment of everybody else in the country. But Democrats have to remember that playing the game in good faith, like for good reasons to play the game, knowing that by maintaining power, you're keeping wacko from maintaining power, means that you have to do certain things to maintain that power.
That's
and
correct.
it's okay if in the grand scheme you're maintaining power to not let that happen again. The alternative is an insurrection on the Capitol. Play a little bit of the game. Don't be an asshole. And also the game isn't even that skeevy because running ads that Trump caused an insurrection isn't that politically it's not even that wrong. Like
it's
we
pretty
should
easy.
remind people.
You should. Remind them for the next 100 years. This is what happens. This is what happens when you elect some lunatic.
I know, why are we acting like, the Democrats are really going to have to get down in the dirt? You mean run ads showing the Trump supporters taking over the Capitol? That's not politically, skeevy. That's called being, normal. Why wouldn't you do that? It's weird.
You're not going to forget this day. You should easily run this shit for eternity.
The January 6th insurrection, man, is going to be a day to remember. And the Democrats, it's a day to remember for the country because it's fucked up, and it's a day to remember for the Democrats to be like, look what happens if we don't play the game correctly. Wake up, wackos. You don't get the opportunity to not play the game because Donald Trump will always play the game. Fox News will always play the game. Mitch McConnell will play the game until the game's dead. Now the game's over for him. He's going to play a different game, some other weird game that he has. The minority leader obstructionist game. I don't know what game that is. A whole nother game.
He'll figure it out. He's always
He'll figure it out. It'll be like, I can use the budget reconciliation, but reverse. I'll use it to obstruct as opposed to get shit done without a majority, without a overwhelming majority. It's whatever the scam is, he'll figure it out. But Democrats have a lot of power now, a lot of power to do a lot of good. And I'm going to pick a thing to get involved in. I mean, we don't, the sad thing is we don't even, this episode and afterwards would have been talking about what the Democrats are going to do with the power. We would have been like, oh, what things do you want done? What major things are you excited for? What have they been talking about? And now we're just talking about a fucking insurrection on the Capitol. They take away everything good. Also, up in Monarch 1, we were down there. It's exciting shit. There's a black senator in Georgia.
Well, you know what? Look, it sucks that that's kind of how it had to be, but it's just the way it had to be. Yeah. And it's okay, but it's like I said, it's okay. Sometimes things happen and you're able to take advantage of it. I mean, I'll give you a great example. To even obviously greater extent was 9/11. How the Republicans, remember we were a very divided country after that election, especially because of what happened in the Supreme Court. But George Bush used it to unite us first, and then divide us.
I don't remember.
Well, it's okay. I was in high school when that happened, so I can tell you. And so George Bush used that though to then immediately strike Afghanistan, and then go straight to Iraq, and then go straight to Afghanistan later on, right? So he was able to leverage all of that goodwill that he had to then just divide this entire country by the time he left. So the Democrats who were already divided, this insurrection actually quasi-united us. Let's use this and let's not repeat the same mistakes George Bush made and end up dividing everybody yet again. So it's one of those, you just have to, yes, I know, I don't want to, I'm not one who's like, yo, let's reach across the aisle. Fuck all that. This is time to build a wall if you got to do that. But my thing is more of you leverage this to showcase we are the good party. The Republicans were the party of evil. Let them figure out how to become good. And at the same time, here's all things we're going to pass, and we don't care what they have to say. Right?
Yeah.
We have 5150. We will. Kamala Harris better set up shop. Her new her new mailing address better be that damn chair because she's going to be passing a lot of shit over the next
every day. Be like, we don't give a fuck. We're passing it. Shut the hell up. Mitch McConnell be like, can you believe us for the budget and the deficit?
They got a damn Supreme Court justice in 5 days. I don't care. Don't care.
Yeah, I don't care. Yeah, I don't care. Well, after the next one we'll do is post inauguration. We can see what cool things Biden has planned for the first 100 days, even the first day. How the first day try to at least get all the shitty executive orders that Trump did? I'm sure you already have them ready to be signed to reverse.
Oh, of course.
Those are obviously
he's just rubber stamp.
He's like, whatever, I don't give a fuck. These are the dumbest shit. He doesn't even read them. He's like, those are all stupid. I know the intention of all of these was dumb and personal benefit for Donald Trump, so there's no way that I need to even look at these. I know none of these helped anyone, so there's no way I need to even read these stupid things that he sent over. Oh, executive order, put everyone in a cage. Executive order, build the wall. Like, shut the fuck up. Kill the climate, ban all Muslims. Like, shut up, dude. You don't even know. You just say nonsense. Obviously, well, we need law and order, and then it's like we're back to the same thing. We're back to the same full circle. This is like COVID under control too. I need some fucking vaccines. Did you see he split it? He just said, no, he's not using not waiting for the second ones. He's just sending out all the
send everything out.
That needs it.
Yeah, and let them manufacture the second one at the same time.
Where's my damn vaccine, Della?
I don't know, bro.
Trump
you and I are
told me
the same
he
line.
would get it to me.
You know what? You being in New York is a disadvantage because there's bazillion people per square inch in New York, right? It's gonna take you forever to get that vaccine.
I'm going to Florida.
You should go to Florida.
I'm going to Florida. I'm waiting online with the old people.
You should go wait with them.
I'm gonna pretend. I'm gonna get like some makeup and be like, oh, I'm very old. Man, I'm stealing vaccines from Floridians. That's insanity. That's when I hit rock bottom.
But that's what I guarantee the rich people are doing. So it's just how it's going to be.
They're not waiting in line. They're paying some doctor to give them a couple.
That's my point. They're going to beat the old people in line. That's what they're going to do.
So, They're going to beat it. I was talking about beating it, but like waiting in line with them.
No. They will walk up and buy the hospital and just and get the vaccine.
All their friends get the vaccine. 100%. The black market. It's not the black market. It's the open market. It's just the free market. Like out in the open. Yeah, it's going to be pretty chaotic, but I think I'm not going to get it for a while. But you know what? If everybody else has it, and I like I'm the only one that I'm not fearful of like killing some old person. Like that's fine. That's a risk. Like I'm okay with.
Same. Yeah.
Just wait it out. But like, there's a lot of people that need to get vaccinated that are like the Trump, like the Jared Kushner vaccination disbursement plan was not fleshed out, man. Turns out Jared Kushner not the best logistical person for this job. We really need somebody with some experience, and not in real estate. We need them in logistics. Oh boy. Well, it's a good time. Hopefully we get some vaccines, and we'll talk after the inauguration, and hopefully Joe Biden reunites the country after the insurrection. There's a light after the insurrection.
At the insurrection.
Oh my God.